Welcome back to 84 Square Feet, where we talk about all things solitary confinement and how you can find freedom no matter what your circumstances may be. Welcome to this episode. My name is Robert. We're going to be reading another Letters from Lockdown, and this is one that I've been kind of waiting to read to you guys. This is one of the craziest things that happened. This is in the first few months that I was there, but I'm going to be going into detail how this guy decided to flood his cell. That's right. And it's a crazy, stupid story, and it really had me sitting at my door wondering, what did I get myself into? I mean, here I am watching this all unfold, and I'll talk more about it as we jump into the letter. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into this Letters from Lockdown. Okay, here we go. This one is dated December 18th. If you've been following along, you've been kind of hearing me talk a little bit about how the tensions during holiday times, no matter really what holiday it is, could be Father's Day, could be Christmas, New Year's, Easter, whatever. I mean, people are just missing their family, their friends, their girl, whatever it may be. They're just missing them on a little different level. And really, no one wants to be in prison. So this one starts out here. Mom and Dad, Merry Christmas. If you've already pulled out all the papers out of this envelope, then you should have seen my present to both of you. And no, it's not the comics that I included. There's a guy on the tier who is talented when it comes to drawing, and I did my best to give you a replication of the drawing that you once gave to Grandpa and Grandma Vreeman of the prodigal son. I've always liked that drawing. Where did that ever end up at? Anyway, I hope you like it and have a frame somewhere that will fit this to put up somewhere around the house. The guy gave me a really good deal on this, so I couldn't pass up the bargain, and he had it done in time for Christmas. Again, I hope you like it, and let this be an assurance when you see it of my coming home to my Heavenly Father. He has been most patient with me and welcomed me back with open arms. It's good to be home. Shortly, I'll be eligible to get my CD player back. I have learned that there are two available stations here in the Boondocks. Number one is a news radio NPR type station, thank God. And two, a country station. God help me. I suppose even country music is better than some of the stuff that I have to hear. Every day, sometimes for hours on end, at any given time in the morning or night, I listen to psych patients yelling nonsense out their door, guys arguing, racial slurs from blacks against whites, child molesters talking about how great it was to touch on or have sex with underage boys and girls, and incessant banging on desks, doors, or sinks with batteries or some other type of hard object. Oh, I forgot the best one. A guy tore apart 2 magazines into little tiny pieces, blocked up his door with towels and clothes, and plugged his toilet with his blanket, and then filled his room up knee-deep in water, and then unblocked his door so that the water came rushing out and literally flooded the whole tier. Luckily, I saw it happening, and I blocked my door with some rags, as the last thing I want in my cell is someone else's toilet water. They finally came, shut off his water to his cell off, and it took 6 COs 4+ hours to clean it up, as the magazine that he tore up clogged all of the drains on the tier. I mean, that's why this guy used magazines, because if you think of the magazine paper, right, it doesn't soak through as quick as like regular paper. So he had like the outsides, like the covers and stuff like that to all these magazines and all these tiny little pieces. So when he flooded his cell and he had it up there about knee deep, then when he pulled the stuff that was blocking the door, when he pulled that away, he dumped all those little torn up pieces of magazine inside of that water that was rushing out onto the tier. So naturally, yes, the water's going to rush out. It's going to go to the lowest spots. And there are some drains on the tier. I'll drop a picture of the tier that we were on when this all happened. And I just saw that water coming this way and coming this way. I was like, oh no. I had a couple rags, an old towel that was inside of my cell, and I rolled it up and tried to make a barrier, because I mean, you just don't want that. You don't know what's in that water. And the other part of this is that you can definitely tell and hear my frustration with some things that were going on the tier. Things that I had to hear. I mean, there's no getting away from it. How many times Are you in a place where maybe you hear something that you don't like hearing? And now you're able to just remove yourself from that, maybe go on your merry way or put some headphones in or whatever it may be. When you're in solitary confinement, you don't have all of those options available to you. So here you are having to listen to some of this stuff. The other part that I mentioned here briefly about all of the conversations that you inadvertently just have to be a part of because there's no getting away from it. I mean, you have like 48 cells that are on the entire tier, so 24 on the top, 24 on the bottom. And the unit that I was in at this point was all single cells. So that means one person per cell. And there are people that are just in there yelling out their door. They're talking about whatever, sometimes good, sometimes not good, a lot of times not good. And you heard me reference in there some of the things that were just starting to drive me crazy. I mean, we're coming up on Christmas. You have that longing to be peaceful and happy and home and all of that stuff. And now you're in a situation where you can't escape all of this negativity, all of this craziness. And it's, literally just trying to pull your hair out of your head. I had a guy that was 2 doors down from me that was a child molester. And he hadn't been out of his cell in probably 15 plus years from what I heard from some other people. And he would talk incessantly, I mean, for hours on end about the things that he did to children while he was out on the streets. It made it very hard to love. I'll just say that. It made it very hard to think anything good of that person. I came to a place in that cell where I had so much anger, so much. I just wanted to wrap my hands around that guy's throat and make him stop because that's the last thing you want to hear. I don't care who you are. I remember I had to look into the mirror one time and, these mirrors that they have inside of your prison cell, they're like a brushed aluminum. You get kind of a reflection of yourself. It's not really a glass type mirror that we have here on the streets. And I'm sitting there looking in the mirror and I'm hearing this guy talk. This is, mid afternoon. And I'm hearing this guy talk about all the crimes that he did against children in such a way that it was just disgusting having to hear. And not just for minutes. I mean, we're talking hours and hours and hours this would go on. And I remember just sitting there looking in my mirror, standing at my toilet, and I've got all of this anger and hate inside of me. And I just felt God say to me, he's my child too. And you don't have to put more fuel on the fire. So figure it out, but don't allow him in the place that he's at in life to dictate your place in life and the things you need to do. So I looked at it now more from a lens of, I'm not sure what happened to this guy. I'm not sure why he's doing the things that he's doing, why he's saying the things that he's saying, but I felt bad for him at that point because I knew that that's not what he had probably wanted with his life. And here he is just miserable. He has to be miserable. There's no way that you can be at peace in your life thinking about and talking about and doing the things that he was doing while we were in solitary confinement. So the lesson that I took from that was really, I don't have to engage, support, or anything. If somebody's on some crazy train trying to pull people down with them, I don't have to board that train today. I don't have to get on that train and allow him to take me in some place that I don't want to go. So I just removed myself from that. I'm not condoning his actions by any means. Please don't misinterpret that. But I'm also saying me sitting in that cell and being consumed by anger and hate and not having anywhere to go with those feelings wasn't productive for me to sit there and continue to do that. You have to learn to let some things go. And that was a place for me in the hole where I just had to let that go. And I had to recognize I can't change what he's doing in that cell there. So I'm not going to allow his craziness to dictate what's going on in my cell. And that's one way you learn to control your environment while you're in solitary confinement. You asked about a few things. Calendars, there's no limit. As long as they are stapled, that spiral wire is not allowed. I am allowed any types of magazines. They don't really go through the same approval process that the books do. Yes, you can print off Sudoku puzzles and send in. They don't care about those. The list of books that you sent me were all approved for me to receive too. I wrote that to Janelle to pass the message, not sure if that got to you or not. I was accepted briefly into the school here and started a government class that was quite interesting, and doing the chapter test helped pass some time. Then, they got my transcripts from South Christian and told me that I was not eligible as I already had a diploma. I also tried to get into classes offered by mental health like anger management or life skills, but they responded too late to my kite, and it appears that I'll be waiting until January at least to do those. I did a bit of wheeling and dealing to round up a bag of coffee and a few soups, and then I had a few stamps that I promptly traded to someone for a brand new set of sheets. So this was like the equivalent of me rounding up around $3 or $4 worth of stuff, and then I traded it for something where the price was around $30 or so dollars worth of stuff. So, in prison, you do what you can. And those sheets, man, I still remember those sheets. The sheets that they give you in prison are kind of a dingy white, maybe, kind of gray sometimes. These things have been through the ringer, literally. These sheets that I got here in this little deal, these were like straight out of Kohl's or Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm not sure what, but these things were blue and silver and black. They just had this really nice striped pattern. And the cool thing is that they're different, because when you're in prison, everything is the same. Everybody's wearing the same kind of shoes. Everybody's got the same kind of blankets. Everybody's got the same bed. Everybody's got the same pillow. So when you get something a little bit different, no matter how different it is, it's highly sought after, and you also, man, you just have this love and appreciation for it. I loved those sheets. I can still feel them, smell them. It was a great set of sheets. Yeah, I got a screaming deal, and these are way nicer than my old ones, which were beginning to fall apart. Physically, I am great. My hair is getting long all over, and my goatee is long enough now to put into a ponytail. I am bored, so I let it grow. I got weighed a few weeks ago, and I've lost around 8 pounds since being here, putting me at around the mid-220s. It really sucks not being able to order food right now. I can't wait to get to GP, general population. Many guys have told me it's a night and day difference on the other side of the yard. I work out like 3 times a week in my cell, and I shower 4 times a week also in my cell. I have a baby powder container that's empty that I fill with water and spray over myself like being in the shower while standing in a yellow plastic tub that generally holds my extra clothes. It has been 3+ weeks since I have been out of my cell, but my mind is free and not burdened by the close walls. The day will be here sooner than we think that the doors will open and I'm free again. Until then, I am sure of my mind being cleaned out and renewed. Much has changed, and much will continue to as I walk in God's will. Let me know what day you receive this, as I'm trying to figure out how long my mail takes to get to you from here. Let me know how the stuff from Berry County transpires, and if there's anything additional that I need to do. Merry Christmas to you and to the whole family. I look forward to hearing from you, as well as seeing some of the pics from the renovations on the house. I will talk to you soon. I can call again after the first of the year. Let me know if there's a good date or time to put in a phone request after January 1. Remember too to ask Janelle about the 50 that is missing. I don't want her card to be charged for it if it's not showing on my end. Psalm 37, 5-6 out of the Message version. Open up before God. Keep nothing back. He'll do whatever needs to be done. He'll validate your life in the clear light of day and stamp you with approval at high noon. Love you lots. Robert. And then there was a quick PS here. It says, I'm in the middle of reading Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Most enjoyable read. I remember reading this long ago, but it's nice to read about Pip, Mrs. Havisham, and Lady Estella. This book has had me laugh out loud more than once. Good stuff. Grapes of Wrath is next by Steinbeck. Love ya, Robert. So that's our letter from lockdown from December 18th. You can really hear some frustration starting to come through there. And it's just the realities of being in solitary confinement. There's a lot of things you can't change. And I think the quicker you come to terms with some of those things, like what can I change? What is really getting me frustrated right now? What can I do differently? How can I react differently? Because reacting a certain way maybe just ramped things up. Like always getting angry at hearing those things out my door, just ramp things up. Instead, I decided I was going to maybe work out or try to do something else, put my earplugs in, change my schedule. That was a big reason that I changed my schedule towards the beginning of me being in solitary confinement, because I figured out real quick when those people were awake, when they were banging, when they were talking outside of their door about things I didn't want to hear, things that were just complete garbage in my head. I didn't want that stuff in my head. So I figured out real quickly what was the schedule, what was the routine that I had to be on in order to still get through the time that I was doing. Because doing 2 years in solitary confinement is already bad enough. But then if I wanted to heap on, I'm going to do 2 years and I'm going to be angry every single day, that's no way to live. It's no way to live there. And it's no way to live here either. So if you've got one of those things, maybe one of those thorns in your flesh, like we talked a few episodes ago, we all have thorns in our flesh at different times. So what is it for you? How are you reacting to your thorn in the flesh today? What are things you could do different? Are there things that continually get you mad, continually send you down a certain path, reacting in a certain way? Or are you taking control of the situation now because whenever stuff like this happens and I act like this, then I end up over here, and I don't like ending up over here. I don't like feeling like that. So what are we going to do different? That's the questions that I had to start asking myself. What am I doing different? How can I respond to this differently? Because I didn't like the headspace that was putting me in. Friends, that's really all I got for today. This is a quick letter. I appreciate you joining in. Again, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. You may see this little thing here occasionally now and then. I'm going to be giving some of these away. I've got some t-shirts. I've got some other things that we've thrown the logo on. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a comment if you would like to be considered for one of these cups. I'll cover the shipping and everything. We print them off right here. We just like having a little fun with it. But it's one of those conversation starters that just might change someone's mind, might challenge someone's mindset, right? There's a lot of people that have a certain mindset about people that have gone to prison. And there's a certain mindset, I'm sure, about people that go to solitary confinement. So this is just about starting a conversation and getting somebody to think of things maybe in a little different way. And to think that the people that are in solitary confinement right now, every single one of those people is a person. And in my eyes, how I believe, every single one of those people is somebody that was made in the image of God. The last thing before I close, you heard me say something to my mom there about calendars and not having a limit on those. Well, a funny story about that calendar that she ends up sending me, and I'm going to get to that in the next episode. But yeah, it was a very uncomfortable situation when I undid the calendar that my mom sent me. So we'll see you on the next episode. Friends, thanks again for joining along today. Be blessed and be a blessing wherever you're at.